Hey everyone, so this is my review of Midnight Texas, Season 2, Episode 4, called I Put a Spell on You, and essentially what this episode is about is that the Midnighters must band together to protect a newly born were-tiger, and while that's going on, Fiji takes some serious measures to try and protect Bobo, and Manfred and Patience sort of bond together over their relationship troubles. And this was a really interesting and entertaining episode that had so many really good moments to it, and it was just really sort of interesting to see how everything played out. And I wish I would have gotten into a bit more detail about like the lore and stuff behind the were-tigers, because we are introduced to know about them because of the Reverend, but then we don't know a whole lot of like how they exist and stuff besides like the normal sort of werewolf similarities where like they only really show up during a full moon and stuff. And yes, we are explained stuff a lot more in detail about like how they work and stuff because of the fact of them raising this baby were-tiger. But like I just want to know a bit more about like I said, the lore of were-tigers and stuff that isn't in that much detail. But still, it was interesting to see sort of what all happened in this episode surrounding this baby were-tiger and how there are these hunters and stuff going after her. And so the Midnighters are trying to figure out like why are these hunters after her, and like why was the mother running away to go and meet up with the Reverend, which was a part that was never explained and really bugged me, was the fact that she's like, oh, I'm going to bring this little baby to the Reverend and he'll protect it and stuff, but then it's never explained like how the Reverend knew about her because the Reverend never shows up in this episode. But still, that was like a part that was interesting. But then just seeing sort of this baby were-tiger growing up and stuff was interesting, with how they showed it with her needing to consume a lot of meat and food and stuff, and as she did consume more and more, she also grew up more and more. So she went from being like a baby to 18 in like 2 days, which was interesting to see. And then Mary's whole sort of relationship with Olivia was interesting too, with Olivia not wanting to raise this kid at first and stuff, but then as things progressed throughout the episode, Olivia became more and more bond to Mary, the baby were-tiger, and that was interesting to see, and I'm very curious to see what that's going to do to affect Lem and Olivia's relationship going forward, now that Olivia's kind of more okay with the possibility of starting a family with him. And then everything with the whole like supernatural fighting rink that they had to go to was interesting, where they chose to use Lem as a distraction by having him fight a bunch of other sort of were creatures. And they went and did that while Olivia and Joe went to go and find Mary and her father to free them from this fighting rink. And that was another part that was never really explained to me, and it really kind of confused me, was the fact that there was this lady who was like the grandmother to Mary, who was in charge of the fighting rink and stuff, and I don't know where that relationship fit in. Was this like head fighting rink person the mother of Mary's mother or her father, who's the were-tiger? Like, where did she fit in genetically, or was it that she wasn't actually the grandmother or something like that? I'm very sort of curious and wanted to know more about like that whole bonding relationship and how all that was formed and stuff, because that was just another part that really kind of confused me. But still, just everything around the whole baby were-tiger Mary storyline and stuff was really interesting, and was definitely a really good like main storyline for this episode. And then the side story with Fiji and Bobo was interesting, where Fiji decided that the best way to keep Bobo away and keep him safe is to literally make him forget everything about her. And that seemed like kind of a pointless part of this episode, especially with how it all turned out by the end of the episode, where she went through all this trouble to make him forget and stuff, but then he ended up remembering again because of the fact that he couldn't stay away from her because he was just so in love with her. That just seemed so dumb in my mind. But then it was interesting with how she decided to end this episode by taking the same path her aunt did, which was just to turn her love into an animal. So then they couldn't be together. And I'm just very interested to see what's going to happen going forward now that Bobo is a dog and Fiji's continuing down this path to figure out how to break this curse that's on her family. Then everything with Manfred and Patience was interesting, with them working together to help pretty much everyone else and stuff, and just bonding more and more together, which was interesting to see. And I'm very curious to see what's going to happen there going forward when Kai does eventually come back into the picture. And then just overall, this was a really interesting and entertaining episode that definitely had a lot of really good moments to it, and I'm very curious and excited to see what they're going to do next. So yeah, that's my review of Midnight Texas Season 2, Episode 4, called I Put a Spell on You. So yeah, bye!